Dr. Irfan Saab. Please, Dr. Irfan Hassan Saab, please come on stage. Vertical growth of cities is an important step towards creating smart cities. Vertical development can help modern cities solve some deepest and most problematic issues like traffic, land shortage, and various urbanization, uncontrolled urbanization. They would become sustainable in terms of energy, space, and overall efficiency, but it is not easy as told. There are various questions: how vertical development lead to smart cities, what effects on the standards of our present living, what challenges which Pakistan deal. These all questions will asked, and I request Dr. Sikandar Ajam Khan, please come on, present his keynote address about these issues.
Assalamu alaikum. First, I'd just like to have one clarification. I'm not a doctor, I have two masters. So that is one clarification, because anybody who comes from NUST principal is a doctor, so I'm not a doctor. So I'd just like to clarify that. My keynote address is just there to make people think about. I'm not supporting one group, vertical cities or the other, but I think it will be of interest to people to have a look at it, and it's just food for thought, what I'm trying to present in the keynote address. It's not a panacea for doing things, but that's all I just want to do. If you can have the presentation, I've been just told that I have 20 minutes, so I'll start with my okay. So I'll just start my presentation. So can I have the slides, please? So I'll just be brief. I'll just be in 20 minutes. I won't take too long. So what I've been told was this, that we do smart growth, vertical development. So I'm going to talk about necessarily we don't need vertical growth. We can have high density, non-profit urban housing, which may be more environmental friendly. So I'm going to make a case not for vertical cities, but I'm going to make a case for medium-rise communities on brownfield sites through good urban design, landscape management leading to smart growth. So what I'm talking about is this: I want to protect the urban fringe, and I want to negate urban sprawl, which also the high-rises, that's what they want to do, safeguarding valuable agricultural soil. And I also want to talk about a non-profit housing concept as applied to communities. So this would be the basis of my discussion. It is a case for another type of development other than vertical cities, which may have some problems. This is what I'm trying to propose is a more humane way of development. This is a humane way of development, what I'm trying to do. Next. So what I'm going to talk about is, I'm going to talk about densities. What does vertical development do? Vertical developments lead to high densities. So what is a density? Density is a housing term to state how many people per acre or per hectare can we stack them in, or how many we can pack them in. It depends on all, among other sizes, that family size, number of rooms, size of dwellings, how they're stacked, height of the structure. There is no such thing as an optimum density. High and low depend on the country's average, how much above and below. And common definition of high density is over 10 units per acre or 60 dwellings per hectare. 1 hectare is 2.47. I don't go into that because it means it's okay. High density does not necessarily mean a satisfied community. We can have high density, but it has to be done properly. There are some negative perceptions regarding high density communities. High density increases crime, it increases traffic, it puts a strain on public services infrastructure, is not appropriate for the surrounding neighborhood. So what I'm going to talk about is compact urbanism, which is in the UN Agenda 21, Article 7.5. It promotes sustainable human development. It is supportive of it due to transport and network and sustainability. Next slide, please. So this is what I think topic of the discussion was this, that we need to go onto high rise. The advantages of high rises are this, that it's got cleaner air, you go up, it's cleaner air, you get a better viewpoint, you get a smaller footprint. Now these are the advantages of high rise. I want to advocate another alternative, medium rise. The advantage of medium rises are this, that you get a sense of community, belonging, there is less crime, use of energy, good management is required for it. These are the disadvantages of a high rise. We can go for high rises, but you have to be very careful if it's not done properly. You get a loss of vibrant communities, the community spirit is not there. There's the loss of the street, the gully is not there. You have less social space for people to congregate. You have less social space. You have a high crime rate. And after 10 floors, 76% energy more is consumed per square foot. So people don't know about this, and especially if we are in an energy deficient country. So after 10 floors, there's 76% use of more energy per square foot. Also, there's less empathy with other human beings. The children who come out of these high rises, they don't have, Urdu mein कहते हैं हमदर्दी, उनको हमदर्दी नहीं होती है लोगों के साथ. So for the high rises, the children, you're going to produce children who have no hamdardi, no empathy with the other people. So should we be doing that? That's a question I'm going to ask. The disadvantage of medium rise is this, that if you have poor administration, management, and if you have poor design, it can produce a disastrous result. So density alone is not a key to successful housing. So for medium rise, you need good design, you need good management. Next slide, please. Okay, now what I'm going to talk about are the advantages of high density mid-rise houses, facilities. You have open space for children, including education facilities. Units have privacy in circulation, area exits. You can have your street you can have your house on the front street. Less cost than a high rise. Construction is simpler. It's more sustainable. We are an energy deficient country. It's going to be worse in the next few years. And over 10 stories, it's about 76% more. So should we be doing this? This is a question I'm asking. Mid-rises are flexible, adapted to changing needs. They can be extendable also. If your family extends, you can extend them. And they're dense enough to achieve urban benefits, same as a high-rise. Access to public transportation, civic amenities, commercial activities there. It provides a sense of individual identity. And then you can integrate the open space with the individual units, landscape, mitigation, adverse climate effects can be there. Alternatives to urban sprawl, destruction of the urban fabric, and agricultural soil. If you have high density, you stop urban sprawl and you stop the destruction of the urban fringe and valuable agricultural soil. But high density alone is not a key to successful housing. Two most important aspects are good architecture design, good layout, and good management of this. Next, please. This is what I'm looking at. This is the destruction of the environment, of the urban fringe. This is now 20 minutes away from here, where we are standing. We are 20 minutes away. This is what is happening 20 minutes away from here. This is the housing scheme is going to come up here, and all these pristine mountains are there. This is on 2021, so this has already been destroyed now. Next. So this is keeping on eroding. This is going to not be there. So we need to have urban settlements, urban growth, so the urban fringe is not disturbed, the agricultural land is not disturbed, and we can, and extending the transportation links here, about 20 minutes, 25 minutes away is going to be a problem. But we do need to grow because Pakistan population is growing at a rate of 1.76%. And according to NPHAP 2017, we need to have 300,000 units per year. And we need to have 10 million housing units. That's the overall shortage. And this is what we're going to do. So we do need to grow. But this is not the way to grow. To destroy this environment and destroy the urban fringe and we grow. Next, please. Okay, that is one thing. The other thing I want to introduce is non-profit housing. Now, non-profit housing is very important. Other than low-cost housing. Now, I'm going to give you this. This should be followed rather than low-cost housing. So people do. It's a lease system. It's a non-profit cooperative system, and it gives you a sense of support for the targeted community. It gives you a healthy neighborhood social system. You can, and there are no territorial connotations. The non-profit housing schemes can be addressed through the integration of a social electric space that provide housing stability without any territorial connotation. But this is happening in the U.S., in the United States. They're doing a lot of this non-profit housing, while we are going towards high-rise, which is again I think hegemonic overlord. Because if you have high-rise buildings, the government can show people that, okay, this is what we have done for the poor people. But that, I feel, is not the answer. You can achieve the same high densities with mid-rise buildings. Next, please. Next, please. Okay. Now, this is what was happening in the 70s. These were the high-rise, more than 12-story buildings were being constructed in 1970s in the developed world. Okay, so in developed world, this is what was doing, and this unfortunately, this architect, I know him, Mr. Yamasaki, he has got the honor of having two of his buildings blown up. One was this building, and the other was the World Trade Center blown up in New York. So these were untenable. These structures, these mid-rise for lower middle class, they did not work. By mistake in Chicago, I went to one of them. It was close to university. It was terrible. There was smell of urine in the lifts, in the passageways. There was so much crime over there. And this is what I feel that with high rise, this is what is going to happen to us. Next, please. The other alternative. This is another high rise which was demolished. This was in Cologne, and this was on no man's land between China and Hong Kong. There was an old fort here, and all the immigrants from China, because it didn't belong to Hong Kong, didn't belong to China, they came and settled here. And this is not just a diagram. This is an actual. This is taken from here. So this is what happened here, and people kept on building up and up and up. But here there was a social structure. There was less crime over there. There were opium dens here also. Dentists came from China. They didn't charge very much. So this was serving a social need in Cologne. But again, this was also demolished. Next. This is the same. This is another same Cologne high-rise housing which was demolished, and you can see how they went about it. Next. Now I'm going to talk about President Nazir. I'm going to talk about what happened in Pakistan. This is a good example of a mid-rise, high-density community, but it belonged to one community, so that's why it was successful. And this is also non-profit housing because it was owned and built by the community, and it was built by good architects of Pakistan. Next. This is the Al-Azhar garden gated community in Karachi. This is where it's located. This is the main entrance. You can't get inside. I tried to do a survey that what is the density, go inside and do it, but it was very difficult. You were not allowed to go inside, and you couldn't do much there. So, but anyway, I think we can look at it, but it's fairly high density because I took part in the competition also. This is the site. This is a Google image of what's built, and this is these are the high density houses over here. There's a central area over here, and this fairly works. Next. Okay. So now you can get the data here, see what it is. But in these streets, they're more like communities. Women come there. It's open space. People can congregate there. It's a very successful. And what they say is they built it at $10 per square foot. So it is quite convenient. It's a non-profit because it was for the community. But what is good about it is just not pure housing. It has got other facilities with it. It has got other communal facilities with it. So you can't have a housing project, a project alone, without other communal facilities. So this belonged to the Ismaili community, so they're a very tight-knit community. Their management was very good. Their allotment system was excellent. Their other facilities were there. And women were safe enough, they would use the street, because quite tight, they would use the street as an outside area. Next. So this was quite successful, mid-rise. The other one I'm talking about is in Amsterdam. That was a local president. I'm talking about Amsterdam. Again, it was a high density, low rise. 100 architects participated in the competition. Housing units have patios, roof gardens. It's a very pleasant environment. If you are in Amsterdam, I would request you to visit this. Next. And every dwelling has a front door to the sea. It's a little bit same as the Al-Azhar one, but I don't think they knew much about each other. But again, this is high density, mid-rise housing. They have these central spots, and they call this they call the Sphinx. This they call Pac-Man. It's a game. It's like this, and they've got some other name for this also. So these are all low-rise, very attractive, with community facilities over here, housing, very successful in Amsterdam. They could have built these high-rises here, but they're getting the same thing without the high-rises. So what I would caution everybody, that high-rise is not a solution. You could go for high-density mid-rise. Next. This is another one in Stockholm, in Sweden. They're using the UN method of compact urbanism. It's in this Habitat UN article, I think it's 2122, article 7.5. And they talk about compact urbanism. So that's what the UN is doing. Why aren't we doing this? And we're talking about high rises. So you have to go for smart growth. It is eco-friendly, minimum impact development, and it is built on transportation. That was one of the urbanism principles of the UN was. And there's less automobile dependency. So the principles were walkability. They were elaborate environmental goals were set. The environmental goals were environmental goals were there. Very elaborate environmental goals were set. Once the environmental goals were set, then the architects were told to go ahead and do it. And balconies were an important feature of it. Underneath the balconies, something else was there. So this was very environmentally friendly, and it followed the urbanism principles of the UN. Transportation, it was on the transit-oriented development, and it was linked up with the main center of Stockholm. Next, please. So you can see this is a very it's a very pleasant environment. I mean, they have all the technology to do high rise. They're not doing it. I mean, the West, they have stopped doing this, but we are doing it. We are thinking about high rises. So this is a very, and this percentage is about 5,000 dwellings. They're mix of dwellings, and environment has been catered for. I mean, they look, this environment is fine. It's good. Next. So now I nearly am through with my thing. A few more. So this is some of my work, what I've done. What I've been doing is this. I've been doing this is a competition I did. It was again high density mid-rise for the Bora community, Mohammadi Park. It was a competition. Unfortunately, I didn't get it. But these were my thinking. This is again a very fairly, without high rises, it's a very, very fairly dense environment, 4-story environment here. 4-story, 5-story, walk-up apartments, duplexes. These are one apartment. Next. So this is my proposal for there. So this is very, very high density. It's a very livable environment. The streets are there. You can see the skyline. There are no high rises, but I'm achieving high densities. It has an urban core here. It has got these high-rise, mid-rise apartments, high density, imageability, sense of place. Everything is here. So from the gate, when you enter the mosque, when you enter from the gate, you see the mosque. And this is the cricket ground over here. Next. So these are some other views of it. I'll be a bit brief because I've been told I just have 20 minutes. I don't know how much I have consumed. But again, you see, when you do housing, you just don't do house. You have open areas, lawns. You have your apartments which are set up, which gives you privacy. You have streets in which people can congregate. And you have nice landscaping. You have nice views of the mosque landmarks. This is a lot of the data of each. I worked it out as a piece of mahallas. They're all mahallas, so the communities have empathy with each other. एक दूसरे के साथ हमदर्दी होती है इन सब लोगों की महल्ले होते हैं एक दूसरे के ग्रीफ जॉय वगैरह शेयर करते हैं नेक्स्ट so these are some more views again open areas nicely landscaped 3-bedroom unit 2-bedroom units you have a central park so these are nice pleasant views you know everybody centering onto this you have your front door here you have a mahalla here then you have the gully there next Next, you can go fast on it. Okay. So that was one way of doing it. Doing it high density, low rise. You can get pack the same number of people. This is another competition. What I did again. This is a high density, low rise building with duplexes. I worked out a system. It's like a puzzle. This is based on the 13 feet grid, and you start. Putting your rooms together, and then you make and do it, and you keep on growing. So even the user has got flexibility in doing it. The green is the lounge, the red is the kitchen dining. These are the bedrooms. This is a small bedroom. This is a larger bedroom. These are covered open terraces. Now people are all coming to open terraces, and they're different kind of floors. And you stack them. I don't have time to maybe explain it all. But this is how the system worked. Next. Okay, these were the environments. So you have a central courtyard, you have these units coming around here, you have the open areas, and you have the staircases here. And these are what I've done is this. These are apartment. You come here, it's a 2-story apartment. So you always have access to the walkway to the street, what I call it. And these are nicely landscaped. They're different types. Next. Okay, this is the environment which is going to take place, and you can see it's a pleasant environment. I mean, as opposed to a high rise. Next, again, outdoor areas. Next. Okay, so I'm nearly coming to the end of it. This is another unpaid commission. I just tried to do it myself. I tried to put my theories of high density. There's a place called Saw Quarter near my house in F6-2. So again, I tried to pack it up and have high densities, roughly around about, I think, more than 300 to 500 persons per acre. But it's a work in progress since I didn't have a client. So I stopped midway, but I just show it to you. So this is where the Saw Quarter are. This is F6-3. It is over here next to a girls' school, and I think this is what it is. Next. So these were the Saw Quarter, and there was already CDA had done a project of Saw Quarter, and they had made roads and all that. And these people were from the Christian community, and they were quite well off. मुझे याद है कि 1985 में VCR पर टैक्स लगा हुआ था. So I was in the bank doing some other transaction. जॉर्ज साहब आए, उन्होंने कहा कि जी मेरा VCR है, 500 रुपए का टैक्स दे रहा था. तो VCR was a very scarce commodity. So I looked at him, and then he said कि मेरे address 100 quarter है. So that was the first time I heard of 100 quarter. So the people are quite well off in the 100 quarter area. But this was what CDA did, and they made these roads. The girls' school is over here, there's a nala over here, and they made these roads there. Next. Okay, if you can see, this is where the saw quarter is, and this is where the girls' school is. This is the hill road going. United Bakery is down there, and then you can see what they've done. The roads are still there. They're congested now, but you can see the remnants of the old roads. Next. This is the situation there. Each room, they're making rooms there, and each room they're selling it for 15,000 rupees a month. So they keep on building rooms. So I think this guy gets about 30 or 50,000 a month from this. And this is the main street where CDA put their sewerage line over there. This is the work which they do it here. But there's also a lot of crime there. The police have got a good record of it. And when I went there, the people thought that I was looking for whiskey, so they came on after me, ki ji ye le lo, wo le lo, or drugs. But the police have a record of what's happened. The CDA doesn't have the record too much, but police have got a complete record, all the crimes which are taking place there. But this is a community, and this is what, and just keep on growing. They keep on growing like that. Cologne, well, I think it will keep on, every year they keep on. Same thing is happening in Saidpur. Next. So this was my proposal. So what I did was this, the site is about a 10.3 acre site. I managed to put 300 to 377 persons per acre here, and giving them enough open space also. But this is a work in progress. This is a church here, community buildings here, but I didn't complete it because it's work in progress. I don't have a client for this. I'm just trying to experiment on it. It's quite well worked out. Next. So these were communal spaces, small communal spaces, large communal spaces, small spaces going on to the other main communal spaces. Next. So again, there I had a 13 feet grade, here I had 11 feet grade. So these are quite pleasant environment. You can have the inside spaces are there, and you have the outside spaces coming up. Next. So again, you can see the different ways you can pack it. You can have the internal courtyards, you have the external courtyards, and everybody has privacy. You have areas where women can congregate, talk to each other. Environmentally, it is better. It's buildable. You can build it quickly. I worked out the whole costing, the management system, what to do. Normally, there are two approaches for these slum development. Either you get rid of them, throw them outside the city, or take them to Farash town or anywhere it is, and then they have to spend more money. And the other is this, if you start upgrading and changing areas. So this is the upgrading and changing area. So there are two ways you can do it. Either you can upgrade and change the area, or you can get rid of them. But I thought this is a humane environment, and just my proposal, if somebody, CDA or even somebody does it, some of the churches, international churches were interested in maybe funding it also. Next. Next. I'll just go over it quickly. I think this is the last. Next. Next. I'll just keep on going. Next. Next. Okay. So that was my proposal for that. I mean, you can. I can fit in so many people there. I can have a high density environment, which is a more pleasant environment instead of going high rises. So that's my whole submission. Now, I just want to conclude here. I think this is my last 2 slides. And you should not be just doing housing, but you should be going for residential communities. Communities are more important than just housing. You just can't have high-rise houses. There'll be so much crime there. औरतें होंगी ऊपर से लिफ्ट से आएंगी, वो कैसे आएंगी, बीच में क्या होगा, क्राइम होगा, सेफ्टी नहीं होगी, स्ट्रीट का कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं होगा, मोहल्ले का कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं होगा, एम्पैथी नहीं होगी किसी के. Why are we doing this 22, 23 stories high? While we can do this, this is another alternative which I'm presenting to you. And then communities have to have these facilities, mixed-use communities. You can daycare center, workshop, clinics. दूसरा मास्टर प्लान जो है, CDB मास्टर प्लान कर रहा है, all the master plans which are being done. Now if you look at Islamabad, the secretariat is at one end, people come from Pindi to work there. Why do we have separate sectors? कि एक एजुकेशन सेक्टर है, नास्टा यूनिवर्सिटी सब उधर है, रेजिडेंशियल इधर है. You should have mixed communities. That is what the West is doing, but we are not doing it. I don't know why. So I think you need to have master plans to promote high density, low to mid-rise housing and pattern of the old cities, but without the drawbacks. And you need to have 15-minute cities, so reduce dependency on the motor car. You have high density sectors will not produce good environments. You need good urban design. You need good architects to do it. You just can't say कि जी ये high density housing हो जाएगी और हमारा हो जाएगा. You need good architects. You need good urban designers. You need good management, good administrators to do it. And you can have about 325 to 600 persons per acre would be desirable. It could also support mass transit. And you need to have bylaws for mixed sectors. And the bylaws, if anybody from CDA, responsible person is here, you need to fix your bylaws. You need to fix your densities in the bylaws. You need to fix your densities in the master plan in the housing. That is the way forward. That is why these other advanced countries are doing, but we are not really thinking about it. Next, this is the last slide. This is, I'm just summing it up. You need to have master plan to designate outer areas by densities and sense of place. Sense of place is important. Then you need to have good urban design to do it. You need to have high density mid-rise housing. You need non-profit cooperative housing. You need to reduce the urban fringe. You need to reduce the loss of fertile agricultural soil. You need to work on brownfield sites, which are sites which are inside the city. You need to develop that and not really go out to the outfront. There's so many brownfield sites available. So you can go to brownfield sites and do it. And the outcome should be socially acceptable. It should be resident, non-profit cooperative housing should be environmentally friendly. You should go for high density, mid-rise housing. So thank you. That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much, sir. Two new panelists join us. I welcome them, architect Jamila Zahra from NCA and Mr. Jawad Aslam, CEO, Insar Management Company. Sir, welcome on the behalf of Ministry of Housing and Works. The most parts of the world development is symbolized by the presence of the tower cranes. Rapidly growing cities such as Dubai, Shanghai, Seoul, Hanoi, and many others have spotted a jungle of cranes to show that they are transforming. Even mature cities such as London, New York, and Washington display many towers cranes to indicate that cities are the hubs of construction and innovation. But why in Pakistan development authorities refuse to allow cities to evolve vertically? I request Dr. Ubaidullah Nadeem, Professor of City Regional Planning, UET Lahore, to come on rostrum and please present his keynote address to us. Thank you.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you very much, and I congratulate the Ministry for organizing this very much needed event, and I hope this activity will continue in future also. So my presentation will be short, being a keynote address. I'll try to set the stage for further discussion and raise some points which we should work on and are much needed. So firstly, please, next please. I want to clarify what is a smart growth. So it is not just constructing high-rise, high-density skyscrapers. It may vary from place to place, city to city. And of course, it will have mixed use, but it also includes, as I have highlighted, the development within existing neighborhoods. We are primarily focusing on developing new buildings, new structures, on transforming green land into brown, and we are ignoring somehow, the capacity of the existing neighborhoods. And I'll give you some methodology how to analyze the morphology of urban form and come up with new decisions of what sort of a high density can be, achieved in the existing neighborhoods. Next, please. So these are very famous smart growth principles, and these are not new, but surprisingly, these were, developed by US EPA. It was not any housing department. It was not any, development authority. So you can see the main focus is on walkability, mixed use, and range of diversity of housing and diversity of transportation modes, and of course, involvement of communities. So these are the principles. And next, please. And what is then compact city? A sort of a, solution or a form of smart growth which can be achieved if urban form and land use pattern are primarily determinant of urban sustainability. So this is another target and focus. So more density and compactness, is certainly helping in low energy use, low carbon emission, and minimum air and noise pollution and water demand. So what we need is to have, compact development and to find, opportunities in our existing built-up environment. Yes, we should also continue side by side some sort of expansion, but is it a good option to allow urban sprawl, particularly in big cities, or low-density housing? And I would say again, is a housing scheme of plots a good approach? How much it is being, followed or implemented in developed countries? हम जिनकी मिसालें देते हैं, क्या वहाँ प्लॉट बिकते हैं या घर बिकते हैं? So for so many years, I have seen many housing schemes back in 1997 in Lahore and back in 1995, and onward in Islamabad. And then Zone 5 was, opened up for private sector. Many housing schemes which were developed or initiated or launched back 20 years or 30 years ago, more than half of the plots are lying vacant. Are we encouraging compact development? Are we providing opportunities to the people? What are we giving them? We are just, undermining the production of agriculture land. We are just dumping the money in the land. There is no housing. People are not living. I can show you even the housing scheme which were developed 20 years ago, more than 50 or in some cases 70% plots are lying vacant. So is it an approach? Is it a policy for the future? And what should be the way forward? We are talking about high-rise vertical development. So next, please. There are wonderful ideas in the world. Now the question arises, can we afford to have this kind of development, or how much? Should we follow it as such? Or how many people can afford? And next, please. So this is a conventional sort of a mix of shops, offices, and apartments. We can say it's a low density but relatively better than the horizontal development of townhouses, but it's sort of a mixed example and a space with social interaction and, sitting and, walking and retail shopping. Next, please. So you can see this is another form of medium density housing. Again, there are sort of spaces for social interaction, for ventilation, for thermal comfort, but we don't see this kind of development in housing schemes, unfortunately. We don't see but single or double story dwelling units, very low density housing. So who will do it? Is it desired? The first question is. And then if yes, who will do it? How can we achieve it? Next, please. And if we see, there are also high density mixed developments. We have seen this kind of development in some parts of the country also, but I don't think so. This is much needed here. Yes, for elites, for high income areas, for, along the main boulevards of the big cities, maybe few this kind of towers we can afford. But is it a smart growth, or is it a compact development, or is it desired? So these are some international examples. Next, please. So what we have in our urban areas. So these are some points to ponder. How can we go to smart growth? We have got old established built up areas, unplanned areas. We have got squatter settlements. Should we leave them as such? And planned, approved and unapproved housing schemes, we have got several zoning and building regulation, land use rules in all the cities and in provinces, at provincial level also and authority level also. Those provide, for some locations or roads where uses can be converted into mixed-use high-rise building. Yes, some roads have been identified in big cities in the name of or under the umbrella of commercialization. Yes, we can say, although it has got several negative impacts, but still it is leading to increasing the density, at least along the main roads. But how well it is working, this is another question. So apartment buildings are also being built in our country. But the question is, are these enough? Should we look for some other options, or should we continue to build apartments only or mainly, or should we look at the existing old established areas, squatter settlements, maybe transforming them into new high density mixed use smart growth developments? We'll have to take bold steps, We have to work with communities, in partnership with communities. This is not an easy task. Yes, next please. Next please. So what we need to do then? Should we follow developed countries' principles and planning practices, design practices as such? I have shown just a few of those. And my honorable, professional senior Dr. Mr. Sikandar Ajam has also shown some international examples of mixed use and low-rise, mid-rise, high-density development also. But should we follow those exactly as such, or how much vertical we should go? This is a very good question. And we should decide. We should sit together and decide what kind of infrastructure we need, and what kind of construction material, what kind of energy need. How will we meet, energy needs? And how will we meet, infrastructure requirements? Will this kind of high-rise development be successful if we keep on promoting, or if we decide to promote? So another very big question is, what kind of incentives should be given to private sector? Why they are mainly banking upon the housing schemes and selling plots? Why not apartments? Why not dwelling units? Why not constructed houses? And why not the communities like smart growth, smart communities, or high density development? So, of course, there are some rules and regulations to encourage public-private partnership, and then why we see very few examples, or rather almost no examples of successful example. Next, please. So what else we need to do? I have shown you principles, I have shown you, there are some guidelines also internationally, but do we have guidelines? We have got building regulations, zoning regulations, land use rules, but I don't see specifically smart growth guidelines. And that's why before formulating such guidelines, I would suggest we should do urban form analysis of existing built-up areas and of course the suburbs, and revisit our zoning regulations where there is a deficiency in allowing mixed-use, high-density development. But current approach is, being planner, I know that most of the development authorities, focus on right-of-way of the roads, and on that basis decide the height of the building, maximum permissible height. What about the urban block? What about the trickle-down effect of that high-density development in the surrounding neighborhoods? So if we only focus on the major roads and their rights of way, perhaps we won't be able to determine the real urban form and the capacity of high density that is needed. Only major roads may not be a good option. So what we need is to then develop detailed guideline for smart growth. I'll show you a sample of international guidelines. And of course, we need to identify and develop again the guidelines for infill development in the existing neighborhoods, because we have just seen that this is very much part of the smart growth. And of course, urban regeneration. And more importantly, we need to find low-cost solutions, low-cost building solutions, because majority of our country, can't afford to live in luxury apartments. But we have seen in the big cities and other parts of, intermediate cities, some luxury apartments are coming up, but we don't see much except some government efforts. Next, please. So this is a sort of a method to differentiate and to identify site development types with floor space index. So this has got same floor space index, but you can see in here the ground footprint of the leftmost figure is the lowest, more open space, but the same density, same floor space area, same provision of space, and the middle one has relatively more, and the right one is the maximum ground footprint. So what we need, we have to analyze. Next, please. In this context, I have found, this sort of an urban form analysis of a Russian city. So I suggest we should do this kind of analysis of our, urban areas and see where low-rise, mid-rise, high-rise, on point type of a development exists, and where is the capacity, where we can add, we can do infill development or urban regeneration projects so that we can promote smart growth, because already, there are facilities, daily need facilities existing at walkable distance that is very much needed. So we can, in this way, I think, if we analyze and then modify our building and zoning regulations, we give incentives to the private sector and government itself takes initiatives, perhaps we can have a development that is more compact and more density. Next, please. So this is just a sample of smart growth guidelines, but I would suggest that we should also work out. We shouldn't follow international practices and guidelines as such. Our socioeconomic culture, our development pattern, our affordability varies a lot. Next, please. So this kind of guidelines exist for, neighborhood placemaking, you can see again the emphasis is on walkable communities, 15 minutes communities, and near the facilities at walking distance. Now, there are two densities suggested here, 20 units per acre for apartments and 10 units. And if we multiply 20 units with, suppose, 7 persons household size, so 140 persons per acre. Now the question arises, is it enough? This is some international guideline, American mainly. So we have to work out. It means there is a lot need to be done. We are going, randomly, in an uncoordinated manner. We need some national level guidelines and we need some local level guidelines, and then only we need some criteria to select suitable sites and decide the density. So, of course, when we talk about high density neighborhoods, so there will be minimum requirement for parking, and these should be, environment friendly and using natural or renewable resources for energy use, not, non-renewable resources. And main emphasis is on bicycle riding and walking. So unfortunately, we don't have safe cycle track, bike lanes in big cities particularly. So people are afraid to use. Those who are compelled to use, only they are using, cycles or motorbikes. Otherwise, those who can afford a car, they are afraid to use. They won't prefer. Why not? How to encourage them? How to motivate them? We are talking about, something ideal though. Will it be implementable? Only one or two solutions? We have to, find integrated, solution, and again, comprehensive guideline. Next, please. So, these are suggestions of prosperous smart growth locations. So location within, again, walking distance from main transport route. Luckily, we have got now several BRT type projects in big cities in the country, and we expect in the future there will be many more. And if this happens, so the BRT station would be a very good location for TOD. So we need to have transit-oriented development, guidelines and rules specifically designed. And then again, who will do it? Investment. Who will bring in the investment? So transit-oriented development is a very good idea to encourage compact, high-rise growth, where people can walk to the train station or bus station, and they can go to their workplace or in any other part of the city. So next, please. These are some good initiatives by PHA and government, you are well aware with. It means we are already, doing something to promote high density housing, at least high-rise housing, but we need to do, further research that how far these are promoting smart growth. Should this trend be continue, or should we add something more in it? The design of the community. These are, of course, on the new sites, and some of these are on infill. Next, please. In other cities also, but I have taken only Islamabad and Lahore. Next, please. So these are a few projects. The right one, I live close to it in a community in the university. So these flats now cost more than 5 million. Can you believe? 50 lakh rupees is the price of this right one flat. It's not in Gulbarg, Lahore. It is along GT Road near Bhagwanpura. It is in some, I would say, old part of the city, and its cost is of one unit, 50 lakh rupees. When it was initiated, it was 11 lakh rupees per unit. So because of its highly accessible location, because of low cost of living, it's a compact community Within this, there are, daily need facilities, shops and open space and etc. So this is, of course, a contribution. But again, can we afford, or should we go for this kind of development at the outskirts? Who will live? Who will prefer to live there? Where we have got land. This was a piece of land vacant, owned by railway. There are many other sites owned by different departments. This is another avenue. We should look for the infill development on the vacant land parcels which are owned by different government organizations, government departments. This kind of several successful projects exist in Lahore now. And people prefer to live instead of, having a 5 or 10 marla house somewhere, 30 kilometers away from their workplace. So it means close to workplace and city level facilities are very important. So, but we are only developing, outskirts, suburban areas, peri-urban areas. So this should be only for elites. I don't think this is for middle income and low income people. And can any low income person afford this kind of flat? So then, what is the solution? It's not that simple. Next, please. So, what are private sector initiatives? We need to discuss now and come up. If there are, representatives, I request that they should, discuss and present examples and, tell us their problems, their requirements. There are many examples in Karachi, several, high-rise buildings, but there are many incidences also, illegalities also, But even then, why this trend is not, being promoted in other cities? Private sector has significant contribution in Karachi and in some other parts of big cities, but not as much frequent as we see the government projects. And we don't see many successful examples of infill development, urban regeneration. So it means there should be exclusive plans for this purpose for every city. At least we should start with big cities. Exclusive plans. The stereotype master plans are fine, but a step ahead, with implementation of the master plan, one of this kind of, further planning can be done, and identification and urban form analysis can be done to come up, new sites, new areas or neighborhoods where high-rise compact development or smart growth can be, developed. Thank you very much. I hope we'll have rich, and good discussion at the end of this session and come up with several new ideas. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saab. Very thoughtful discussion. Since its inception, Islamabad has been committed to horizontal rather than vertical urbanization. A one canal plot in sector E7 cost upward 15 crore. In F6, it is cost between 11 to 15 crores. This vision has led to Plotistan, where cooperative housing societies have mushroomed in a world of plots. If we compare horizontal versus vertical growth, is it true vertical growth is more affordable than horizontal? As by scaling horizontal, you might face much challenges such as shortage of land for agriculture and compromise other amenities. And now it is the right time to start thinking about vertical housing development. Now I request Dr. Irfanullah Hassan, Associate Professor, UET Lahore, to educate us by his keynote address, please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I am very thankful to Ministry of Housing for giving us this opportunity to express our idea in this Expo, first international Expo. So already my colleagues from JUIT, Professor Ubaidullah Nadeem Saab has explained about the vertical development. So I am civil engineer and working in the civil engineering department. So I will discuss some technical aspects of the vertical developments and emphasize on some low-cost housing solutions with respect to some recent development by our university. So next, please. Next. So urbanization is basically there is a need for the built-up space as we see that the population in the cities is increasing. So of course the land is lesser, and with the passage of the time, the population is also increasing. So we need to develop somehow the tall buildings due to the lot of congestion in the cities. Of course, the land is reducing and we have to develop tall buildings. Next, please. And urbanization means that we have to need a lot of tall buildings rather than making a congestion, as you can see in this picture. So we can go with somehow, rather than making a lot of houses, we can select somehow tall buildings. So how we can do that? Just next, please. If you can see the left hand picture here, where in two streets we can construct a few number of houses. In the few houses, small houses, if we are making in streets or in colony, and a lot of area is needed. Whereas a tall building in the same area, of course, it can accommodate many houses. But at the same time, many challenges are involved with the tall buildings. So always, of course, the humans had admired the concept of tall structure. They are visible to all. And the seven wonders of the world, of course, these things are attractive that we should go taller. The early tall buildings are the seven wonders of the world. So they are visible to all. Their builders were held in the highest respect of their societies, and their structures are the subjects of the legends. But in Pakistan, of course, the trend of the tall buildings is not as common. So how we can develop in the tall building, because still the traditional tall building concept is still going on, that we are making the rigid frame structure, concrete structures. More than 75% of the world population will live in urban areas by 2050. So this rapidly growing urbanization creates the need of innovative, integrated and sustainable solutions. With its promising future, and vertical developments combined with the small city infrastructures provides a great solution. So we have to go with the vertical buildings, vertical developments mainly in the cities, because in the larger area, in the villages areas, in the tehsil areas, we see that still a lot of land is available, but where there is a congestion, we have to go for the vertical developments. Yes, next please. And if we see the population of the Pakistan also in the cities, it is increasing. The red color here is showing the millions, how many Pakistani population, urban versus rural. So into 2030, it will be, you can see that more number of people will be in the cities. So smart growth is always advisable. We should achieve the following objectives: use resource efficiently, provide the efficient and sustainable transport as well, improve the urban planning, design sustainable buildings, and offer the sustainable living. That is the need if we want to develop the taller building, and if we want to go with the smart growth, we have to follow these steps. Yes, please. A vertical city is a city consisting of a lot of multi-story buildings of 30 to 100 stories in height, with all the necessary basic infrastructure required, like firefighting. We have to go for the high-speed elevators, plumbing, disposal, as well as integrated roads network, the sewerage system, water supply system. all these factors to be kept in mind. Let's say if we are seeing that 2050, 2060, later on after 30, 40 years, we are making 50-story buildings, apartment, 40 stories. So how we have to see at the moment whether all the infrastructure facilities and all these parameters are available, because we are not directly going to construct a building where hundreds of thousands of people are living in a very smaller area in a tall building. Yes. And services cores, of course, we have to select the proper location of the services cores in the buildings. You can see here that the taller building have certain forces, wind loadings and seismic loadings. So we have to see that the lift wall where we have to provide, and lot of services cores for ducts, for the lift, and for all kinds of HVAC ducts, plumbing ducts, we have to properly follow so that aesthetically also these are not disturbing, as well as with respect to the critical loading conditions. So these are the important part of the building. Yes, please, next. And secondly, the openness, to give somehow the concept of openness, we can go with the bundle tube system. Rather than making a rigid frame, lot of columns, we can have a lot columns at the periphery and inside limited number of columns. So concept of the bundle tube was initiated by Fazlur Rahman Khan, an architect, and many years before, and Sears Towers is also built in US. So bundle tube system means that we are making a stiffer periphery of the building, but giving a wider spaced column inside the building. And secondly, we can make the different levels for different bundles. In this way, somehow the concept of openness for the different apartments can also be seen. So here the bundle tube idea is shown for the taller building. And other idea is the diagrid system. You can see here somehow some systems which are the diagrid, which periphery is very strong, and it's far suitable for taller building. Some architects from the Zaha Hadid, where you can see that we have to leave the conventional system if we want to develop some beautiful apartments building in bigger cities of Pakistan, in Islamabad, Lahore. We have to change the aesthetics, and for that we have to go somehow we have to change the tradition of the rigid frame system. So this is a diagrid system, which is giving us a look of the 3D system at the periphery, and this is also acting as a structural system that becomes the part of elevation as well. And somehow the linked system, and some currently going some taller building in Japan, Sky City 1000, and some Jeddah Tower, which is of course 1 kilometer high and tallest building in the Burj Khalifa. You can see the structural system of the tallest buildings are much different. And in Pakistan, even if we start thinking about 50, 60 stories, we have to think about different structural systems as well. Now, multiple systems which are in the tall buildings are building functional system and architecture, HVAC system, plumbing system, electrical, fire safety, cladding, security, and all these parameters are needed to be seen while planning for the multi. And similarly, the loadings, as per engineering point of view, we have to see that the dead load, live load, impact load, as the first respected speaker have shown the disasters in the multi-story building in the first lecture. So we have to follow all the loading condition, earthquake, currently the flood loading, which was very unexpected loading. So urban flooding is also a problem nowadays. So we have to deal with all kinds of critical loading scenarios for the taller buildings. These are the earthquake loading which is shown on the building on the left hand side, that strikes from the ground, and similarly the wind loading that is quite heavier for the taller building, that is shown in this picture. So these are the wind and earthquake effect on the building, not only for the 10, 20 story, even for 2-story building, seismic is critical. Maybe wind is also critical for 10, 15 story buildings. So we have to follow that when we are planning our buildings in the cities, wherever, we have to see all these scenarios. Yes, the next aspect. And all other parameters like building weight, foundation load, uplift, dynamic factor, relative cost, architectural layout impact, all these parameters are important for the buildings. We must see that while planning these buildings. Now I will emphasize in this part on the sustainable tall building design at how we can reduce the energy demand, energy resources, and how we can develop some different materials. We can utilize the waste and develop some low-cost solution for the housings. Here we are emphasizing in the university research, recycled material, local manufacturer, less travel distance, and these are the key aspects for the sustainable design. No waste of material, fly ash, slag, and supplementary cementitious material we are using in the concrete mixes. Yes, next please. So that we can save some energy, like thinking green is one of the key philosophy all over the world nowadays. So how we can plan it actually, and how we can make our building energy efficient with respect to our Pakistan scenario. Next, please. Yes, the motivation was that currently a lot of research is available, but still we people are not going to that point. Cement is costly, steel is costly, brick is costly, and still the people and a person in Pakistan, I mean, low income group, even a medium income group is not able to construct the house because the cost is increasing. And during the last 3-4 months, 20% reduction in the cement production, export as well, cement uses have been seen. So this is the reason, the cost is the big reason, the development is stopped. So we have to, this was the motivation that maybe we should go for some low cost sustainable solutions so that the construction work should carried out, and how we can reduce the cost of a house. So this was the motivation behind this small research work that I will show in the next slides. And the other reason was the environment, that the cement production, 100-ton cement production is giving about 95 ton of CO2 to environment. Bricks production, smoke issue, these are the key issues, and how we can reduce these key issues which are affecting the health. So we use some sustainable solutions which are, we are developing some new product actually, which are not only for the bricks, but many other products. These are some literature studies. Next, quick Zara. And the objective of this research was the composites, development of composite at multi-scale level, mechanical properties. We must see that whether these are usable or not, and we use some upscaling these products at the industry level. Also, we have presented some materials here in stall where we are showing the different composites. So sugarcane bagasse ash, like Pakistan is one of the big sugarcane bagasse ash producing countries. So we are using these materials, kaolin clay as well, and fly ash as well, coal ash, metacoline, red mud. These are the materials selected for the making as an alternative to cement. And here it's like why we are using it. The reason is quite clear, to reduce the CO2 emissions. Secondly, we have a huge bagasse ash amount available because sugar industries are using these materials and utilizing these material in burning in boilers, and then they dump the materials. Kaolin clay is a kind of a natural material, but we can make it metacoline to use in the cement. So we come up with the bagasse ash, how we develop it. The last material shown in the last here, that is a material which will be used in the cement. And similarly, the metacoline, that will be also used as a replacement in the cement. How we prepare it, that is of course a process where we burn it at 600 degrees centigrade and convert it to the binding material. And the other materials I am not explaining, but chemical properties are shown here. Yes, next please. And multi-scale approach, I mean, we have done some testing at starting with the cement paste, then mortar level, then concrete level, then upscale to the brick level. So when I say multi-scale, it's like we are developing this product not only for smaller level, but we are going up to larger level. So we start investigating these products at cement level and go to the mortar, then for checking it as a plaster or cement element, then concrete as well, then brick as well, to make it energy intensive building unit. Yes, and here are the different scenarios that can be worked out to see. This is a technical thing where the mortar is at cement paste is the smallest scale and the concrete is the largest scale. And these are the different scale level for the materials. Yes, next please. And we perform the different tests and develop the materials. A lot of effort was involved. We developed some small cylinders and then see their properties, that whether these are fit or suitable for the making the building units, and the compressive strength, reasonable compressive strength for different mixes were achieved. Yes, please, next. And evolution of the strength and elasticity was computed. So here the creep parameters as well as the elasticity as well as the strength as well as the water absorption, all parameters are basically calculated. And now when we finish up with this product development at smaller level, yes, next please, and the good strength is seen at 28 days, we are achieving, more than concrete strength, sometime more than 30 megapascal even for different composites. Then we upscale this product, and we are making the product. Just next, please. Upscaling this product is at the industrial level, that we have developed this product and converted to the bricks, where you can see here that the compression energy is applied. Next, please. And initially the small cylinders are built, then the larger bricks are formed from these products. So idea is that these are the manufactured units. Finally, this brick can be prepared in 4 to 5 days. Normally the clay brick is formed in 42 days, but we can prepare the brick just in 4 to 5 days, and its cost is much lesser than the conventional brick. The reason is that we are using the, replacing the material with the fly ash and bagasse ash. So we not only develop the bricks, but as well as the panels, the mortars, all different building units are formed. Time is short, so I will just close it. Please, next slides. We also apply this product for making the panels, and we see that the reasonable strength is developed for the different products. And finally, even at 7 days, we are going to achieve 10-15 megapascal. At 28 days, 56 days, the strength is increasing. We have a lot of samples also available. So what's the basically idea is that these products can not only the bricks, but cement replacement, number 1, mortar, second, plaster replacement. We can use it as a plaster element, and we can save 200 to 300 bags against 1,000 bags of cement. We can save 250 to 300 bags against the 1,000 cement bags for plaster, for mortar work. And brick cost, of course, when due to the current scenario, the bricks are not available or costly, we can produce the bricks in 3 to 4 days, and cost is also 30 to 40% lesser. And in addition, last 2-3 slides, please show the next few slides so that I can sum up this. Panels making. We are going to shift the housing system to prefab panels in Pakistan. We are importing the panels from China, and Pakistan is still, industry is lagging behind in making the panels. So we can develop these precast panel, prefab panels of size 2 feet by 10 feet, which can place in one unit. So we have done the testing of the panels as well. And these panels can be, how we can save the I am emphasizing that how we can save the cost of the house. Number 1, material. With respect to the civil engineering, I emphasize on cement, mortar, brick, plaster. Number two, with the time saving. I mean, we can save the time of construction. We can construct the house in few days rather than few months. So these are the technologies that we develop some new panels. So if in the low cost housing, in the civil works, we can save the cost up to 30%. So that will be a big addition. So please close this and come to the conclusion. So these panels were tested as well, and we are now trying to coordinate with the industries as well. 2-3 industries are on board with the university, and we also apply these panels to somehow we are making some model house at small level. And these houses are not for the small construction as well as these are suitable for the like post-flood temporary construction as well as for the permanent. I mean, these are not for the small 2-year time period, but 20-30 years time period. Prefabricated concept should be involved, and in this way, finally, we are able to conclude this presentation that one thing is that vertical development should only go in the cities, normally where it is the requirement. Secondly, we should go to the low-cost housing solution, that is the need of the time. Thirdly, prefabricated construction, and industry we should not import anything related to the civil, but we should manufacture in Pakistan. And the last thing, that it is possible that we can revive our construction industry and we can revive the low-cost housing solutions for the low-income group through the new technologies. I acknowledge the support from the Housing Ministry as well as the HEC and the Pakistan Science Foundation for supporting our research work at the university for the low-cost housing sector of Pakistan. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Saab. I request my panelists kindly care time constraint. So there is a dire need to formulate a policy to cater the challenges of affordable housing and vertical development and solutions for sustainable urban development. Now I request architect Jamila Zahra to come on the stage and brief us about her presentation, please.
Presentation, please. Well, assalamu alaikum. I am Jamila Zahra, a graduate of National College of Arts. While discussing today's presentation, I am just here to give you an idea that in 2050, how our world will look like. So the research about the growth of Asia and Africa, European Commission 2020 says that the urban population of Asia and Africa are projected to become 64% and 54%. Jamila, smart growth. Smart growth. Yeah. Sorry. So the research says that the urban population of Asia and Africa are projected to become 64% and 54% respectively. That means that our cities will extend their peripheries. And now this is the time, the real challenge is to act smartly. So I'm going to skim through this presentation as my seniors have already explained it very well. And I will not take your time. Thank you. So the first, next please. Topics that I'm be discussing over here is that what actually smart growth is and how it opens up the gate for the public and private bodies to do the partnership, and in result how investment opportunities will be raised. The second content will be, I'm sharing here the historical background of smart growth, how idea of smart growth have been involved, and who were the architects who actually presented their synthesis to it. In the third content, I'm going to discuss the principles of smart growth, and I will be discussing the successful precedents over here. And in the fourth content, I'm going to summarize it with the basic design of my thesis, that how I started to evolve the smart strategies in my thesis. So to the very first topic, that is smart growth. Now, what is actually smart growth? It covers a range of development and construction strategies to protect our mental health, to protect our environment, and to make our communities livable and making it more strongly economical. But it will only be happen if the political commitment is involved. If they are not involved, then there will be no partnership bodies, and in thus we will not have our secure investors from foreign for national areas. So three main things. Can you next? Three main things are highlighted in this, that political commitment should be involved. Second, please. Public and private partnership is involved. And the third one is will raise to secure investment opportunities. So now just going through the second content, that is what was the basic rationale of this smart growth. Now, what were the movements actually for this smart growth? So historical movement, I'm just highlighting it on a very short note, that Industrial Revolution was the main incident that we see the urban sprawl was going through. So the next two movements were the World War incidents that actually raised the demand for housing crisis. And we all know that during this World War, we were facing economically drawback, we were facing a shortage of land, we were facing drastic effects. So these were the two that lead to urban sprawl and demanded for the housing crisis. Next, please. So how architects presented their antithesis to existing cities. So I'm going to discuss the first the first module of Ebenezer Howard, that how he presented his antithesis to existing city, Garden City, named as Garden City back in 1898. So his approach was so utopic in nature, and it couldn't be presented on a real scale model. So what societies and what the architects and what other planners did, that they took the elements like that of buffer zones, green elements, and the privacy issues. So he highlighted that in that case study. Second one is that during the World War and after World War, different architects like that of modernist architects Frank Lloyd Wright and Le Corbusier again presented their antithesis on the name of Broadacre City back in 1935 and that of Le Corbusier in 1933. Now we can see that Le Corbusier's model, Radiant City, was somehow the approach verticality. Now we can see that in that model there were open spaces, but it was inhospitable nature. They were socially destructive, they were disorienting, and the main thing was that he didn't thought of socio-culture fabric of that city. So now I'm will be discussing that how this Smart Act become the platform for different bodies and how the principles actually evolved on these strategies. So next please. Smart Growth Network back in 1980s launched these 10 principles, which is highly recommended for every sector, for every country, for every cities to work on these basic principles. Because in short, if I conclude that it is designed for human scale, and if we are designing for our human people, so we need to focus on their psyche, we need to focus their demands, we need to think about their social concern, we need to think about their activities. So next please. So we see that how smart growth can be designed. It can be designed through 3 different schemes, that is vertically designed, horizontally designed, and the main we can mix used, that is coalesce design. So I'm going to discuss that how architect Yamasaki involved his ideology, next please, through his model root ego. Now that root ego was built in Missouri, United States, 1955. So Brute was basically for the black Africans and the ego for the white houses, for the white people. So what we see, the basic drawback of this was that the architect didn't thought of its socio-fabric culture. He didn't thought of its diversity that causes it complete failure. We can see that white flight, socio-culture fabric, these were the 5 different points that lead it to be complete failure. During this, Charles Jenks, a historical architecture theorist, he says that while they were demolishing this whole 33 blocks, he said that the day modern architecture died, because this was the era of modernism. So that how architecture of modernist approach was lead to death. So I'm going to highlight that not every vertical approach is a good option. We can see that during back in 2005, 8 October, we can see that how this Margala Tower collapsed. So the 3 major thing was that he didn't, the architect, I'm so sorry to say on over this platform, but architect ने या जो वहाँ के लोग थे उन्होंने ना site को बेहतर तरीके से analyze किया, and the structure was poorly done and the construction was poorly done. So this led to be the disaster of 8th October back in 2005. So I'm going to conclude this 2 study that not every high-rise or mid-rise is a better solution. It's not only about designing a building, but it's only to think about the human psyche. Means that we have to highlight the social adaptability, social culture fabric, interactive spaces, communal spaces, and the major is mental health. If mental health is not involved, how can we able to live in that community? So apart from this, smart construction techniques to be indulged, smart technology to be indulged, smart transport to be indulged, and it should be pedestrian friendly. In short, if we say that, it should be on human scale. So the successful stories I'm going to highlight is of one of the horizontal approach, and the second would be the vertical approach. So in Japan, the village of Kangawa, basically architect and the different public and private bodies hold this project and welcomed it to be named as Fujisawa Sustainable Smart Town. So in that study, we see that it was compact housing approach, it was pedestrian free area, it was promoting more public to be involved in communal areas. We can see that it has a healthy environment. Apart from that, we can see that natural resources are not much used in that. They are using solar panels, they are using smart technology as well. They are actually, we see, sorry, I didn't added the more pictures regarding to it, but you can go through these towns. They have introduced the electric vehicle power houses where they can charge their cars, and so mean there is a much more lesser carbon dioxide emission in this town. So apart from that, this case study, the interlaced residential complex that I have selected was the main reason that why we are just working on the vertical approach, why we are being the architects, being the designers, why we are not morphing it, why we are not using the design principles, that is interlocking, that is respecting the values of the society. So this example actually was really interesting for me and to show you on this platform that the architect really thought of breaking the high-rises vertical approach by making it more interlocking in nature. So again, this whole project leads to different bodies of partnership with private and public. We can see that the socio-culture fabric was really a concern. We can see that this project became the landmark for Singapore back in 2014. Next slide, please. Now coming and to my thesis project, and before starting to the final content, that every region has its own set of problems which require smart solutions in a unique manner. So for this, I wanted to design for my region while giving best solutions to the problem. My thesis was to give a smart solution to the factors of target killing, as I myself was one of them. So I had the experience of the problem I was trying to find a solution for. Hence, I set down the selection criteria for my topic, which would accommodate all the factors in one place, yet alleviating the adverse effect of PTSD. So I sorted out that there must be a community with a therapeutic environment, which I named as Smart Therapeutic Community, and which is totally focusing on spatial organization, which would psychologically heal the distressed families. It included Smart Act, which is in front of your screen. You can see that through this act, I wanted to say that and highlight that there should be a platform, there should be a set of programs that should economically make it strong. Healing opportunities should be there, privacy should be there, and the most important thing, that interaction within a safe bubble should be there. So that's how they will start to own their land. And once the people of their area started to own their land, they will realize that it was good for their health, it was good for their self. So the last synthesis of this project was to achieve mental stability, economical stability, opportunities, and self-realization. So coming towards the master plan, basically it's done in Quetta for the victims of target killing, which we were facing since back 1980s. So still now there is no platform for them, no space for them, but through my project I wanted to give a better solution. Anyways, now this society, the community I designed was using the holistic approach of horizontal compact buildings. So please next. So while designing this, I have introduced the amenities within the center of two residential zones, Zone 1 and Zone 2. The reason behind using these amenities in center was that it should be a range of within 500 meters, and it should promote walkable zones and walkable distances. So coming to the next slide, please. So how it went, that each residential zone had 3 different sectors. Each sector had module of 200 to 230 houses. So what I wanted to do is that I've studied their families, and on the results I have concluded 2 modules for them, module 1 and module 2, and in between them there was a communal zone which was there to generate therapy sessions, to generate interactive activities. And the major thing that I wanted to discuss in that, during this design I came across the idea of urban corridors, and I wanted to involve that green seasonal farming zone among my master plan, because for that area, for those people, there should be transitional activities. So that's how at one time this zone is providing their fruitful objects, it's providing healing object, and it's providing interaction as well. So going towards my module 1, next please. So basically, module 1 comprises of the एक slide पीछे कीजिएगा please. It's module 2. Anyways, yes. Next, please. Yes. So this module was of 8.5 Marlas. Over there, Quetta, जहाँ से मेरा ताल्लुक है वहाँ पे there is a seismic zone and our जो है हमारी bodies allow नहीं करती to be involved the high rises at that time. So my concern was to build a module comprises of for the family of 6, family of 7. So I came upon this idea that there should be a healing space in between that specific home. So I introduced the concept of garden inside their house because the regional spaces were there. In the second module, it was next, please. In the second module, it was designed for the family of 2 and the family of just 1 woman. So in that module, I've again introduced the concept of green communal spaces among that even house. So actually, as you can see that through my design, and the language of my design, it was just conveying the architectural language of that area, that is Quetta actually. So the material that I have used was mud that has a really healing effect on human psychology. Privacy is concerned, so for that privacy I have used, you can see the perforated walls and many more. Next, please. This was actually community center, so I don't want to discuss it right now. It's just a basic theme. So what I conclude from my project that progressive therapeutic community should promote walkable, pedestrian-friendly zones. There should be interactive communal and seasonal spaces. Privacy should be there. Compact housing was there. Social adaptable approach that is missing in overall cities, that we don't give much more importance to this approach. I think it should be implied to while designing the communities. So amenities was there within the range of 500 meters and the security was there. So that's how I concluded my master plan through the SMART Act. Now coming to conclusions, that smart growth relies on multiple factors. Now I'm going to highlight 6 to 5 most important things that should be focused on. That we should focus on maintaining the mental health, socio-culture fabric of that area. Smart construction should be there, smart infrastructure should be involved, and it is only possible if we see the partnership of public and private bodies, and this will again lead to investment opportunities to different areas, and it will lead opportunities for the investments. So I will conclude this whole presentation in just one statement, that solution to the particular problem of a particular region in a smart way is actually a smart growth. So that's all. Thank you for having me on this platform. For the further queries, you can ask. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam. The recent climate change challenges which we are facing are very hard. So, Sir Jawad Aslam, I want to ask you one question, whether a vertical development is environmental sustainable, keeping in view the climate challenges. So can you share your experience with us?
Assalamu alaikum. Congratulations. We're at the last section, I believe. You all made it. There'll be a big surprise for you outside, I guess. I'll address the question and just give a quick input of what I'm doing. My other commitment is I won't take more than 5 minutes. My name is Jawad Aslam. We are one of the only, perhaps, affordable housing developers in the country, and we've been working for the last 13 years. We brought investments into the country for affordable housing. As an institution, about $30 to $40 million we bought in to date. That's something that has not happened. It's a small amount, but it's more than whatever has happened in the history. We're working in Peshawar, Multan, Lahore, Islamabad, Kasur, and we're building units that started off at the 15 lakh rupee and going up to 35 lakh rupees. We've also, touching upon the environmental aspect, we are the first builder that has aspired and achieved IFC EDGE certification to build more environmentally friendly and energy efficient houses. All of the issues that we're going to discuss have all been touched upon. One of the things that I feel that is important is how do we create these inclusive cities? Right now, when we think about our policies only focus on the elite and not the average citizen. And I'm not saying we cater to the poorest of the poor, the average citizen. How is the average citizen catered for when we talk about planning, when we talk about pricing, when we talk about construction, when we talk about design? Nobody thinks about these things. And a lot of the principles that my colleagues have discussed, they address a lot of these issues, but in practicality, when we talk about, for example, when the government goes to do projects, they have one end objective for the most part. It's profit maximization. If there's a sector that's going to open, and my proposition is that we look at value creation as opposed to profit maximization. If you do value creation right, the maximization comes. So how do we do this? It's through public-private partnership, another one of the points that the colleagues touched on. And for that, you need proper framework, you need political will, you need policy, and you need essentially what you find, one of the interesting facts that I came across is that when the government invests, they are able to catalyze 5x return from the private sector. So if they put in 100 million, they're able to get 500 million from the private sector to put into that project. It automatically happens. What's even more interesting is that the additionality of the tax base that's created on their original investment will yield them up to 4% annualized return. So if it's done right and it's planned right, it makes a lot of sense. And so what I wanted to basically touch on with all you all is just to say that when we talk about our cities, how do we make them more inclusive? अगर हम उर्दू में बोलें तो मतलब हमारा आम बंदा जो है उसने हम इस वक्त जो हम आबादियां बनाते हैं, like Dr. Saab mentioned, they have to be 25 kilometers out of the city because the land is too expensive. वो बंदा जो है वो वहाँ जाके रहता है, उसकी वैल्यू एसेट क्रिएशन बनती है वहाँ पे, लेकिन जब उसने अपनी नौकरी करनी होती है तो हर दिन पेट्रोल भर के वो शहर में जाता है. So we have key places in all cities and we decide to use them for profit maximization rather than thinking about inclusiveness. And my plea to all of us is how do we think about the 70-80% of our society, and I would even go further and say 95% of our society, and stop only focusing on the top 5%. 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Before we conclude, there is any question from audience? I think all already exhausted. So now I request, you have a question, please. Adil?
अस्सलाम वालेकुम जी, डॉक्टर असगर नईम नाम है मेरा, and I am representing Federal Government Employees Housing Authority, a department of Ministry of Housing and Works. Wonderful presentations and colorful presentations. I believe universities are the gold mines of thoughts and innovations. But unluckily, we just see we should do this, we should do this. This should and would should be set aside. Now there should be some practical, some tangible projects. I mean, we have talked about the local material, but are there some models? Are those materials have been used somewhere? So if not, then these are just dreams, and they have to see the daylight. So one thing. Another is definitely future lies in high-rise buildings, but I did not listen from anybody. What is the cost per square feet when we go towards high-rise? Where there is maximum cost, I mean the cost-benefit analysis that is good for the project to make it feasible and affordable. Yes, we can go to 100-story buildings like Hong Kong, like Singapore, but then again, those are too expensive. And we are middle-class society, and 95% people are from the poor background. They can't afford such expensive buildings. So definitely, instead of giving some suggestions, some practical steps, definitely now the government has to step in. So what the prototypes, the models that you are suggesting, perhaps the Ministry of Housing and Works and some other government departments should come forward to give it a practical shape so that we can follow our own local materials and our own expertise. Yeah, thank you very much.
Good points, Dr. Sab. I think for by and large, I think what I heard here today was that there has to be a transitional process. It's not going straight to high-rise, 100, what we know as high-rise globally is 100 or let's say above 30, 40 stories. And most of the presentation we're talking about were about low-rise, walk-ups. And that's the transitional stage that we have to go to. The acceptability is a big issue. Getting people to accept high-rise in most cities, we're not there yet. So how do we create that transitionality is one aspect that we all need to think about. I face that challenge a lot. हम घर बनाते हैं 3.5 मरले के 5 मरले के. You talk about practicality. We've delivered 3,000 units. And they're all under 30 lakh rupees. And they're done through end-user finance. And people are paying 10 to 15,000 rupees per month as their kist. तो ये आपके जो ड्राइवर हजरात हैं या ऑफिस वर्कर्स हैं मतलब प्रोफेशनल्स हैं वो उनको हम घर दे रहे हैं. So the government can come and discuss when we talk about practicality. If that was my plea to all of our respected colleagues, there's great work being done by all of the government entities, your entity in specific as well. But if as a private sector with private investment, अगर मैं 30 लाख रुपए का घर बना सकता हूँ, मैं ज़मीन खरीद के बना सकता हूँ, कोई सेक्शन 4 नहीं है, तो फिर गवर्नमेंट क्यों नहीं कर सकती है और हम मिलके क्यों नहीं इसको कर सकते हैं? That's what I believe is what I see from today, that we're talking, I've overheard, thank you, resoundingly that we don't need extreme high rises, we need low rise, we need smart planning. And I was very pleased to hear that all the colleagues were saying the same thing in regards to that. Thank you.
You have a question? Please, last question.
I'm Najaf Feather from PHA Foundation. I was very much impressed with the interlaced structure Ma'am Jamila were talking about, But my question is, one of the reasons we are looking for the vertical growth is because scarcity of land, and especially I'm talking about the major cities of Pakistan. And the structure you have shown, the interlace morphed structure needs a lot of land for being constructed. How can we address that for the major cities in Pakistan? Thank you.
Actually, जिस तरह शुरू में मैंने आप लोगों को बताया था कि peripheries are extending. So that module was like it can be implemented into the bigger cities like that of metropolitan cities Lahore, Karachi, Islamabad. But if we talk about Gilgit, if we talk about Quetta, if we talk about KPK, how can you say that the modern and a high-rise approach is suitable for that specific area? Because we are not concerned about the socio-culture fabric. So I'm not the structural engineer, I'm just an architect by profession. तो हम डिज़ाइन करेंगे तो वो हमें हमारे पॉलिसी मेकर्स हमारे जो सीनियर्स हैं वो हमें गाइड करेंगे और वो फिर बेहतर प्रोडक्ट बनेगा. On the basis of being an architect, I can just only design. ठीक है, बट इसमें इन्वॉल्वमेंट हमारे सीनियर्स एक्सपर्टीज़ की होनी चाहिए. और आई गेस ये एक्सपो जो हुआ है ये प्लेटफॉर्म ही इसीलिए था कि हम सारे एक्सपर्टीज़ जितने भी हैं वो एक प्लेटफॉर्म पे आके एक मैसेज कन्वे कर सकें. आई थिंक इट्स द रियल चैलेंज टू वर्क नाउ वेरी क्लोजली टुगेदर टू गिव बेटर सॉल्यूशंस. थैंक यू.
Now, at the end of the session, I request Muhammad Ishfaq Guman, Additional Secretary, Housing and Works, to come on the stage for shield distribution. Please, sir. वही सीक्वेंस है ना, उसी सीक्वेंस. सर मिड में आ जाए. ठीक. First, I request Architect Sikandar Ajan Khan, please come on. Now I invite Dr. Ubaidullah Nadeem, Professor of Regional Planning, UET Lahore. Now I invite Dr. Irfanul Hassan, Associate Professor, UET, Lahore. Now I request Architect Jamila Zahra. Now I request Jawad Aslam, CEO, Insar Management Company. Last but not least, Javed Akbar, moderator.
So thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much to all the panelists. So what if I say that it's time for next session? No, that brings to the end of this session. Thank you so much to all the panelists, especially those who traveled all the way from Lahore. And a special thanks to Dr. Sikandar Ajam Khan. Thank you so much, sir. Request Ishfaq Guman Sahab and Shahzad Chima Sahab to join us on the stage for group photo with the panelists. Sir, I would request Ashfaq Sahab to remain on the stage. Ji, sir. Be unfair if we do not acknowledge the effort and contributions by our organizing committee. So it's time to acknowledge their contribution to this event. I'll call them one by one on the stage. Mr. Adil Raza, Chairman, IT and Media Committee. Yes, sir, Guman sir. Sir, आगे आ जाइए. Mr. Mushtaq Ahmed, Chairman, Logistics Committee. Ms. Saira Amreen, PHA Foundation से. Mr. Asim Amir, Federal Government Employees Housing Authority. He was member of IT and Media Committee. The banner that was displayed on Kosar blog, it was all because of his efforts. His team member, Mr. Zishan. Zishan from FGHA, and there are two Zishan actually. Farooq from State Office Management is here around. Ms. Kamal Ali Khan from State Office Management. Ms. Sadia Munir from Federal Government Employees Housing Authority. Closing ceremony. Ms. Kiran Riaz from Federal Government Employees Housing Authority. Raja Munem Saber, PHA Foundation. Ms. Amara Jabi from FGHA. Ms. Najaf Heather from PHA Foundation. Raja Afzal Zeib, PRO, Ministry of Housing and Works. Is he around? Javed Akbar Sheikh, Ministry of Housing and Works. Mr. Mohammad Kamran, Ministry of Housing and Works. Mr. Mohammad Khalil Chaudhry, Ministry of Housing and Works. Okay. Ms. Mahvesh Riaz from Ministry of Housing and Works. Mr. Khurram Mumtaz, PHA Foundation. Please raise your hand if I am forgetting someone. So, there are so many people that I cannot remember right now, but I am thankful to all of them. It would not have been possible. And I think I'm forgetting myself.
Madam? Sir, last report writing very important work. It has been done by the Policy and Planning Wing. So I request Sajjad Hussain Bukhari to come. दो पत्तियां बस ठीक। Mr. Hassan Raza, Assistant Director, Policy and Planning Wing.
So all the members of organizing committees are requested to join us on the stage for group photo.